episode, Halloween, we did the randomization and we spun the wheel and we came up with a war movie, which we sort of disagreed upon, but we decided that we'd also throw in Top Gun as a chance, and we happened upon it. And we both really, really like this movie. We talked about, and we hadn't seen it, neither one of us, in quite some time.
That's true. It's on TV all the time, and I'll catch bits and pieces of it, but this was the first time in a long time I had watched it start to finish. And yes, it was a bit of a stretch to consider this a war movie, and we did randomize that. That did truly come up. Like, that wasn't staged. That it truly landed as Top Gun, so my excitement was genuine. But we were kind of concerned that a true war movie might be difficult to do, especially on our second go of this, and we didn't want to completely alienate our audience and do like dude guy bro man movies. Though Top Gun is kind of that, but chicks love Top Gun too. But we didn't want to do horror then war, you know what I mean? So I think it's okay. We can stretch the boundaries a little bit. This was directed by Tony Scott, who also did Days of Thunder, Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State, Beverly Hills Cop 2, but not the original.
Yeah, and bit of trivia on Tony Scott. He was actually fired from this project 3 times.
And rehired?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't read that.
Yeah,
That's
he was
awesome.
fired for going over budget, and we can get into that a little bit further, but yeah.
That probably was not difficult to do when you include jets. Just the price of jet fuel alone.
Yep.
Any of those movies that he's directed, any of those you fans of, seen before?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, how could you watch Top Gun and not watch Days of Thunder? I think those 2 movies growing up, I wanted to be a pilot after I saw this movie, and then I wanted to be a race car driver after I saw Days of Thunder.
Did you want to be a cop after Beverly Hills Cop?
No, I've never wanted to be a cop. I do like Enemy of the State too. It's definitely a good movie.
Yeah, so I'd seen I don't think I've ever seen Beverly Hills Cop 2, but I've seen most of these on the list. But actually, his brother is Ridley Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I like his line of work a little bit better. He did Blade Runner and Alien, the original.
Yes.
Also starring Tom Skerritt.
Yes.
He was Dallas.
Yes, he was.
Oh, and we got to go back to the first episode, because now that it's retrospectively, I was right.
About?
The Thing.
What thing?
John Carpenter's The
Yes.
Thing. And that McCready. Who was that? Kurt Russell?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I was wrong that, yes, this movie features the F-14 line of aircraft, not the F-15. So 1-1.
Okay. Score's tied.
Keep it score.
Moving on.
We thought of an idea between episode 1 and 2. We thought, you know how they will pair a drink with a dish? Like, oh, this goes beautifully with this Cabernet Sauvignon. We thought, because if you didn't notice the last time, we were drinking, as we are now. I was drinking IPAs last time, so I was like, okay. When I was editing it, I was like, as you know, I got a little sloppy and a little slurry towards the end, and then I broke a glass. So rather than drinking 4 or 5, 6 IPAs, I am drinking PBI, Pabst Blue Ribbon, because America.
So that's what you'd recommend to drink with this movie.
And that's what I had in my fridge, too. Yeah, because my brother-in-law left some over. But any good old American beer, some Bud Heavies, you know. What did you select to pair with this movie, Tim?
I would have to say Budweiser. Not because of America, but because that is the only effing beer that was ever seen in this movie. All these naval officers are drinking Budweiser. What the fuck's wrong with you?
America.
Yeah, okay, great. It's brewed in America with Clydesdales.
But yeah, so I used to only ever associate Budweiser with domestic violence. So now I at least have 2 things, domestic violence and
Top Gun.
Yeah, so I won't...
Well, that's interdomestic violence.
Yeah, so I won't get as sad when I see it on the shelves. But...
That's the funniest fucking thing you've ever said. I used to associate Budweiser with domestic violence. I'm fucking crying.
Oh my god.
It's perfect. Because me too, but I never thought of it that way. Oh shit, don't do that again. I might vomit. Why don't you go ahead and give us a couple of the taglines?
All right, so there's only two. So there's up there with the best of them. Me.
I mean, who else are they going to put up there? The worst?
Well, apparently, but we'll find about that later. And then, of course, I have the need for speed.
Absolutely. That's the greatest tagline and quote from the movie.
And to, again, reiterate, if you had listened to the first episode, which we know is no one, a tagline is the clever or not so clever text that you would find on the VHS cover. It is not a quote. A quote is a line that is spoken in the movie. That's for one particular listener out there. Because she's like, that's not a tagline, that's a quote.
And you know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. Get over it. Oh, wait, no. Let it go.
Let it go. Oh, just let it go.
All right. So I got a synopsis. So this is off of IMDb. As students at the United States Elite Fighter School compete to be the best in class, one daring young pilot learns a few things from a civilian instructor that are not taught in the classroom. All right, you ready for some trivia?
Yeah, let's do trivia.
All right, so the real Top Gun imposes a $5 fine if anyone quotes the movie.
They do. I read that as well. And I think that is just crazy. How can you not quote this movie?
I know. I bet they get like really annoyed because I bet like how we pick apart this movie, they actually know what the hell they're talking about. Right. Kind of like if we were to watch Backdraft or Ladder 49, I
can't wait. I can't wait to do one of those.
Yeah, they'll be in our repertoire at some point. But yeah, we would probably be far more critical than the average viewer. So
yeah, absolutely. So,
but with that said, we still quote those movies all the time, like
without even knowing it.
Like, yeah, if it's hot, don't get off.
Absolutely.
Like, we'll say that, like, on med calls, like, going up the elevator. But, yeah, so if I was in the real Top Gun, I would definitely owe the government money at the end of every pay period. Because
for sure. I'd be in the negative.
I wouldn't be able to stop quoting it.
I'd be in the negative. Also, I was unaware, but another piece of trivia, the stunt pilot who did quite a bit of filming for this movie died during filming. When they were doing a particular scene, which I will not allude to yet, he crashed. He couldn't recover from something and died, and he was pretty well known.
Yeah, and we'll get to that later, but Tim's always good to bring you down right at the start.
That's what I do. I got to bring you down and build you back up.
So, and then the tension between Maverick and Iceman was very real because Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise did not like each other in real life.
Yes, and I think that was perfect. And I wouldn't call Iceman or Val Kilmer an antagonist, really. I mean...
I think he's supposed to be, though.
Really?
Yeah, and we've talked about this, you and I, but I feel like the first time I saw it, you think of him as being the bad guy, and then the more you watch it...
Well, the more you, not everybody,
I
but
don't know,
you.
but the more you watch it, the less you look at him as being the bad guy, and then eventually you tip the scales where you're like, wow, Maverick's actually the dickhead in this movie, and Iceman's just trying to get an education.
So for Karate Kid, do you find Ralph Macchio's the hero, or is it that Cobra Kai douche?
Probably the Cobra Kai
douche.
See,
yeah, you have issues. There's something...
No, I don't. He followed the rules at least. That flying crane kick was in the head, and they clearly stated that there was no headshots.
Well, but it was just payback. He took him at the knee. We're talking about a different movie. We're fighting about a different movie.
Fake news.
You're fake news.
You're fake news. That trumps everything. Ooh, no pun intended there, though. But you're fake news.
Moving on.
Yeah. So Tom Cruise is 3 inches shorter than Kelly McGillis in real life.
Yeah. I think I am, too. Dude, I missed the skin.
All right, so this is going to completely derail this, but Tim and I decided this time we should have the movie on in the background and with no sound to not be super distracting. And we both caught out of the corner of our eye this chick who's wearing a dress, pull her dress up, and you see her thigh. And Tim, of course, had to bring it to my attention. And anytime there's any nudity or cleavage, Tim has like the time and date of that because he is Mr. Skin.
I am. No autographs, please.
But yes, so they pulled every trick in the book they could to make him not look 3 inches shorter than her. So you'll see like she walks behind him. There's a lot of leaning. A couple scenes, he's actually standing on like a milk crate that you don't get to see.
Yep.
And to me, I don't know, height's not an issue to me.
Yeah, but it's...
That's why I love you.
Moving on.
Tom Cruise continuously turned down the role of Maverick until they convinced him to just try a ride along with the Blue Angels. And he vomited a couple times and immediately got on the phone with his agent and was like, I'm in, whatever they want.
Now, me, if something makes me vomit, I don't think I want to do it anymore. Well, wait, I'm drinking. I
was going to say, how many IPAs deep are you already into this production?
I retract my previous statement. So here's another one. One of the songs from this movie that's really huge, Danger Zone, Highway to the Danger Zone, originally was going to be played by Toto. And of course, we know as Kenny Loggins is the one who sings it, but Toto originally was going to do the music for that song.
And yes, for those of you at home, the same Toto that does Africa.
Right, because that's the only song they ever got credit for, and they are a very good band. I have all their albums.
Yeah, and I do love that Africa song.
I hate Africa because it was overplayed.
But it's still a solid song. I just couldn't imagine anybody other than...
Oh, agreed.
Then Sir, I'm knighting him, Sir Kenny Loggins doing Danger Zone.
You can't knight somebody. Who do you think you are?
Maggie, Margaret Thatcher. Could she was the prime minister. Can a prime minister knight people, or is it just the royal family?
Only the royal family.
Well, I bet I could get knighted by Harry, though. He doesn't really... he left, but I'm sure he still has knighting.
Yeah, he can't knight anybody now.
No, he doesn't have knighting powers?
That's not a power. But you mean like,
authority.
Authority. Yeah. No.
Sounds cooler to say knighting powers, though.
Yeah. No, he can't.
So it's 2020, and we know that there's a Top Gun 2 coming out this summer,
yeah.
And we are both super psyched. We already talked about it. We're going to get loaded and hopefully go to an IMAX screening or
3D, some shit.
3D if we could, but we'll settle for IMAX. And so they actually tried to do a sequel in the late 80s, like a year after it got released. The producers were like, okay, I've got an idea. Go use all the footage that didn't make the movie of all the planes flying around, and we'll make up some bullshit plot to tie them together, because really people just want to see the planes fly around. And the editor said, I literally used every single shot that I could. And they go, yeah, you editors, like, I bet there's something. And he goes, no. They didn't believe him. And they went and they looked and they said, wow, the only footage you didn't use was the blurry stuff. Like, you literally used every frame. He goes, yeah, that's why you saw the same shot over and over. You thought I had more takes of that?
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it was so expensive.
Yeah, it was super expensive. It cost approximately $10,000 an hour to fly an F-14. So the Pentagon ultimately ended up charging Paramount Studios $1.8 million by the end of the project to use the aircraft carriers in the planes.
Yeah, and apparently the opening scene when they were aboard the USS Enterprise, we'll get into that, but they were charting a course and they started going a different way, and Tony Scott's like, hey, I want that sunset. I need that sunset. Can we go back to the course we were on? And whoever it was like, sure, but it's going to cost $25,000. So he cut him a check on the spot for $25,000 to go back to the course so they could get the sunlight in the background.
Right, I know.
Freaking government.
Yeah, can you imagine? And then the other thing that I learned was the love story between Tom and Kelly McGillis was tacked on at the end. So I guess that we should use their characters' names. So it'd be Maverick and Charlie. So they kind of came up, like, we know that they added more to it. Like
correct. Yep,
like
the elevator scene and the love
sex
scene. Yeah.
But they added the entire love story, the first, like, so that was the final draft, if you were. The rough draft didn't even have them having a romantic relationship.
So it was just them kind of like...
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
just her, like, reprimanding him as being, like, the maverick that he is, and the tension between them, but they never spent any time out. And one of the producers was like, this movie basically doesn't have a plot.
Like her going at...
It's just a bunch of people at flight school. To which I say, fuck yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, right. I don't want a love story.
But if I do think in my mind's eye, even though I think the weakest parts of this movie are the love story, if you did cut out every scene, and ironically the two of them are on screen with their first love scene right now, if you cut out every single one of these scenes from the movie, it would kind of have a weaker plot.
It would. That's true.
All right, you ready to get into the plot?
Yeah.
It starts with a little paragraph.
Yeah.
It says, on March 3rd, 1969, the United States established an elite school for the top 1% of its pilots. Its purpose was to teach the lost art of aerial combat and to ensure that the handful of men who graduated were the best fighter pilots in the world. They succeeded. Today, the Navy calls it Fighter Weapons School. The Flyers call it Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun.
And it lets us know that it's the Indian Ocean, present day, in parentheses 1986.
Yeah, now
I love when movies do that.
If you're watching this right now this year, it will not be circa 2020.
No,
it'll be 1986.
Yeah, present day minus 33. And then it cuts to the deck of the aircraft.
Yeah, and you get all these guys running around doing fancy dances and shit.
Yeah, lots of load masters on that deck.
They're actually just peons, but that's okay.
Yeah. They hope someday to ascend to the rank of Loadmaster. All right, so I should, I'm going to make so many jokes alluding to this, I should just call it out.
Hate
you. No.
What's up? What are you going to make fun of me about?
I'm not going to make fun of you.
Okay.
No, because Tim was in the Air Force. He is a veteran, honorably discharged.
Yes, correct.
Which is like the second best type of discharge you can have.
What's the first?
Penile.
A penile?
Penile discharge.
No, you clown. Honorable. There's honorable, dishonorable.
Yeah, but I like discharge.
Or medical.
Well, but I like
penile discharge. Yeah. I get it now.
Yeah. I was like, I like emptying my balls. That's my favorite type of discharge. I thought you didn't think I was funny. I didn't know you didn't get the joke.
I didn't get it.
Okay, but yeah, so Tim was honorably discharged, so he is a veteran, so we got to be respectful and thank him for his service.
No, you don't have to do anything.
But I still have
to. My duty as an American to serve.
His official title was Loadmaster, to which I can't get over. It's the best fucking title ever. So you were responsible for securing cargo, and big cargo, not like boxes of
it's
rice
easy.
and shit.
It's easier to so pretty much anything that's gonna move via military aircraft. I had to make sure that it was load planned properly, put in the aircraft properly, and stored properly. There's some obvious errors in this movie.
Yeah, but you'll give us some.
I'll try to give you some insight, but again, I didn't really deal with any fighter aircraft or anything like that.
Yeah, but still, you were in the military.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that the average civilian wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll do my best.
And then I just got my private pilot.
Shit, yeah.
It's a certificate. It's officially called, but you call it a certificate. No one knows what you're talking about. Private pilot license. But I just got that the other day, so I can talk a little bit about aviation and aircraft. Obviously, I was also not
fighter jets, but
yeah, that's next week. Yeah, it's a single engine, and then you go multi-prop, and then it's fighter jet.
And then you go fighter jet.
Yeah, then it's fighter jet, but
just don't have Tony Scott direct it.
Yeah. Oh, I will say though, so and I can say this now that I have my license because he can't take it away. But the safety officer for the school I went to was a former Vietnam F-4 fighter pilot.
Shit, that guy's got many more props than I do.
But he included in the safety program pursuit curves, it's called, for aircraft collision avoidance, and I had to look it up because it was nowhere in any of my flight manuals. It's for air-to-air combat.
Oh,
and I was like, is he losing it?
Maybe his Agent Orange kicked in. That's
and
maybe
so
what it was.
He wanted you to be able to explain what a lead, lag, and pure pursuit curve were, because that's how one plane would chase another plane, and if you can chase a plane, you can avoid a plane. Is his mantra.
That works with women too.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Yeah. So everyone was like, "Yeah." It's very silly, but make sure if he were to ask you, you could spit those three definitions out. So
yeah, bless his heart.
Yeah, so we'll sprinkle some of those little tidbits of knowledge in there for you. So yeah, we're on the flight deck, we're dancing, and then we get to see the catapult and the arresting system, if you're not familiar. So these jets need quite a bit of runway in an aircraft carrier, so it's not like 10,000 feet long.
Yeah.
They have catapults that help accelerate the plane up to the airspeed it needs to be able to take off, and then an arresting system, because it has to come in so fast that if it were to overshoot its approach,
take right back off.
Yeah, or miss the arresting system, then they wouldn't crash into the Indian Ocean. They could.
Well, any ocean.
Yeah.
But in this film, Indian.
Yeah.
Dot, not feather.
Yeah. So there's the arresting system and then the catapult. And so those actually play a part of the plot, but I just think it's super cool because I don't know, it's just crazy that and we've had that shit since World War II.
Okay, so we're on the flight deck and crews are working, things are moving. You got this soundtrack in the back that's really juicing your adrenaline, and then a plane's getting ready to take off, and right as you see the front wheel dip, it hits what?
Danger zone. So we're in the control room, and we got single radar contact at the moment. And so they're like, yep, we're going to send our 2 guys to go check that out. Oh, who's up there? Got Cougar and Merlin and Maverick and Goose. Ah, shit. Maverick and Goose. So we established right off the bat that they're our troublemakers.
They're the F-tards.
Yep, they're our fuckheads. So
Yeah. I think they just don't like Maverick because he
plays
doesn't go by
rules.
he doesn't go by the rule book.
He's a maverick. And then they cut to Maverick and Goose, and so that of course is Tom Cruise and
Anthony Edwards.
And so Tom Cruise goes, "Talk to me, Goose." And it just this is like the most quotable, not taggable.
You know who you are.
Yeah,
let it go.
This is the most quotable movie ever because so many people say, "Talk to me, Goose."
I think I do it to you every morning.
Yeah,
when you call from your office, "Hey Tim," I'm like, "Talk to me, Goose."
Yeah, it's just become
you just
jargon.
Yep.
And I don't even know if they know they're quoting Top Gun just because it just like rolls off the
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
If you say that and you don't know what you're quoting, that blows my mind. But I'm sure you're 100% right.
Yeah, or like the Need for Speed. Like I have the need for speed. Like
you think, yeah.
Like there's the line of video games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
where
that's
I'm
what I was about to say.
Sure, there's some people
that
who
think you're quoting that.
Yeah, or
Wow.
or maybe, or just think it's a common phrase.
That is just crazy to me because I've seen this and I know it. And so I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, or a lot of times we'll be like negative Ghost Rider, and that's not just us. That's like anybody I know, especially like at work.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But to not know where that comes from, if you're saying it, I don't know, that's pretty crazy to me. But I think you're right.
The names in this fucking movie are the hardest part to keep track of when you're taking notes.
Names or like
the call
they're
signs.
call signs. Yeah.
So it's Maverick and Goose, obviously,
and Cougar and Merlin.
Cougar and Merlin.
Yep.
Because Merlin gets bounced around a little bit. They are gonna go check out this radar contact, and of course Maverick wants to be aggressive because that's what he does, and then Cougar wants to be a little bit more cautious because he doesn't like this shit.
Right, He doesn't like his job.
I was going to say, he signed up to fly these fucking planes
Not
around.
fighting them.
Yeah, he's like, no, I just wanted to fly real fast over shit. Like, as soon as we get radar contact, this is bullshit. I did not sign up for this. And the dialogue just back and forth between the different
hilarious,
is so good. Like, it's so realistic. I would guess, because you would think like, oh my god, can't they take this more seriously? Like, because Mav goes, or somebody goes, you hook them, and then
and I'll clean them and fry them.
I'll clean them and fry them. Yeah, and it's like you would think like, oh my god, this is. But I mean, that's what we do. We'll be like on our way to like a more serious call, and we're still like.
Yeah, we're still cutting up because you have to. There's ways you deal with it.
Yeah, so the dialogue I think is just great. And so as they get a little bit closer, it turns out, we don't have a single radar contact. We've got 2, and so they're MiG-28s, they said. So
which nobody's been this close before.
Yeah, and we assume that they're Russian.
Yeah, they got the red star.
And I know that sounds silly, but because Russia is the one that makes them. But,
and the Cold War was happening when this movie was made.
Right, so Russia was selling their shit to a bunch of like communist countries, and the U.S. was selling their shit to a bunch of freedom countries. Is the easiest way to say that. Because I just saw a news article that Lockheed Martin just sold like a bunch of F-16s to Bahrain.
I didn't know they could afford it.
I know. I didn't think so either. That was what jumped out at me. I think they bought like 10 of them or something.
Cripey.
But yeah, so that is theoretically, that's theoretically a U.S. plane because it's manufactured by the U.S., but it's owned by, but anyway, so we assume it's Russia. So they go to see what's going on, and Mav gets missile lock on one of them because they can't fire until fired upon.
Yeah, which makes complete sense.
It does from like a diplomatic relation, a foreign relation standpoint, but from a true strategy.
Now, if that would not work, particularly for me, I know you're a little more aggressive than I am, but that wouldn't work in the dating field. Do not fire until fired upon. If I don't hit on somebody, I'm never going to get hit on.
Seriously.
And no, wait. I take that back. I'm not going to hit on anybody because I'm married. But back when I was single, I would have... nothing would have happened if I followed the rules of engagement. Nothing.
Yeah. Maybe some friendly fire.
Just like Pink said, it's just you and your hand tonight. That's what it would have been for me.
That's a quote from her?
Pink, that's a song.
That's a tagline. But no, I was being serious. I don't know all of her songs. I know a couple, but that's a real song.
Yeah, it's just you in your hand tonight.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they can't fire until fired upon, but they get the good old missile lock, and that makes one of the MiGs be like, all right, you got me. Like, I'm out of here. The other one, he must be the Maverick of Russia.
Yeah, he's
the
like...
Maverick of Russia. And so he's like, nah, I ain't scared. And he gets a missile lock on Cougar. And Cougar freaks the fuck out because he don't like this shit.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't sign up for this.
He's like, this ain't touch and goes. I don't know what this is. And so Mav's like, all right, take it easy. And he talks him through how to position. So they go inverted and give him the middle finger, which is, a legendary scene. It's super cool. And then Goose has his Polaroid camera, which today would be like a GoPro or something like that.
Yeah, but we're talking 80s.
We are talking 80s. Really, you flew around with a Polaroid camera, and it didn't go bouncing around when you went inverted. Like, that would be awesome. Like, it knocks out Maverick, and it's like, boo! And I feel like, I don't know, maybe... Well, because we didn't have any internet, you didn't get to see that shit as much. But if you go on YouTube, like... killing insurgents, there's like dash cam footage, for lack of a better term, of like Apache helicopters just blowing people up. And I'm sure the Department of Defense has a policy against that, but hey, I got dishonorably discharged and you ain't taking my GoPro, so I'm gonna put this on YouTube. But yeah, so they give him the finger, the other MiG decides to peace out, and so
then, he didn't sign up for this shit either.
Yeah, exactly. So then Cougar, it made Tim and I laugh upon our last watching, because it goes from him like, Mav, get this fucking guy off me, to as soon as he leaves, he's like, and Hollywood, anytime somebody is stressed out or fearful, they make them drenched in sweat.
Yep.
Like that's, maybe he was having like a diabetic emergency.
That's what it was.
His sugars.
He had the beats. His sugars is low.
He had to check his sugars, because man, like I would have. Could you imagine being that navigator in the back?
Knowing that I'm going to die because this guy is just comatose?
Yeah, it's like, because most planes have two sets. Like, if it's going to have two people, and it's got two sets of flight controls. And now I don't think most of the fighters actually are manned by two people, right?
No, I mean...
I think it's a single person aircraft
and
now.
Anything that's been manufactured since... then.
Yeah, because I'm guessing a computer has replaced Goose. You know what I mean? Anything he was doing back there, including probably taking Polaroids.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that would just be so terrifying that you're just stuck in the back of this, like, probably going like 300-something plus miles an hour, even if you're like on your way to land, right?
Yep.
And you're just like, this asshole in front of me is freaking out, and there's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah.
But... Of course, he looks over at Mav's, dreamy eyes, and he's like,
he's able to guide it back in.
Your wing.
But he's flopping around like a fish.
Yeah, I'll guide you in. And so he's freaking out. He's like looking at pictures of his kid and shit and his wife. Mav's like, all right, I'll guide you in, Cougar. Just stay on my wing. Too low, Cougar. You're too low.
Pull up.
Yeah. And it reminded me, did you ever play Top Gun on the NES back in the day?
I don't think so.
Because the hardest part of the game was landing. They would be like, up, down, left, right. And then you would splash into the ocean every single time, regardless. So that's all it makes me say, a little low.
So you were not the best of the best, brother.
No. He guides him in, even though the tower is telling him, like, you get back here right now. You're low on fuel, because why wouldn't you get into a dogfight when you're on, bingo fuel?
Exactly. It's just like World War II.
Yeah, no big deal. Again, he plays by his own rules because he's Maverick.
Look, he's just being a good wingman.
He is. This is the one time like I can't fault him for doing his own thing. But yeah, so he guides Cougar in, and then he comes around and lands.
Yep. And then they end up in the bald man's office.
Would that be the admiral of the ship?
No. So I can't remember his exact rank. but he is. Maybe he is an admiral.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's the thing is I know like the Army ranks and stuff, but the Navy ones confuse the hell out of me.
They
like,
confuse me too.
Like the bars on Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
it looks like
a captain. Yeah, but it's actually a lieutenant in the Navy.
Yeah, that would screw me
figure.
up. That would screw me up so bad.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, it cuts to them, and this is a scene that there's another huge quote from, but it first starts with Cougar, goes into his office, and I found it so strange throughout this movie that you have this senior officer in his office, and you have a subordinate that's entering. There's no saluting. They're standing at attention, but I mean very loosely. But I just found it strange that you didn't salute, because you'd get your ass reamed out if you didn't salute an officer in his office.
Oh, new policy at work. I like that. I didn't know. I thought it was like only if you were outside or, something like that.
No. Especially if you're reporting.
Oh.
You're to salute. So.
Yeah, Monday, I need you to write a manual of all the things you have to do to be proper with me when I call you into my office.
All right. Remember, you asked me to write the manual.
Yeah. So Cougar turns in his wings. And can you do that when you're in the military? Just be like, I quit. You know what I mean?
Can you be like, here's to the $400,000 you've invested in me?
Yeah.
No, you cannot.
I was gonna say that's the thing is I feel like any branch in any job within the military is a lot of money as far as supplies, training, all that stuff. But I would feel as though an F-14 pilot would be especially expensive. And to just be like, yeah, I had one bad experience, so I'm done. I don't really want to do this anymore.
I want to cut carrots down in the galley.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
No,
so
not in my experience.
Fuck this shit. Yeah, where's the potato peeler?
So he turns in his wings. Maverick, Goose, get the hell in here.
Yep.
Again, don't salute.
Yep, and not only to reprimand them, but kind of compliment Sandwich that we like to talk about at work. He's like, that ain't your plane. That's the taxpayer's plane. You should have landed. But that was incredibly brave what you did and whatnot. And I got to pick the best two guys, and that was Cougar. But now it's you. Cougar was number 1. You're number 2. Which is always good pep talk.
I know what it's like being number 2, trust me.
That's right. Yeah. You're going to Miramar.
Yeah, you're going to go to Top Gun. I got to send somebody from the squadron to Miramar is pretty much what he says. And then he says to Maverick, if you screw up just this much, you'll be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. My dad used to laugh so hard at that line.
It's awesome. Of course, as they're like getting ready to walk out, what starts playing again? Highway to the Danger Zone.
Maverick, you just did an incredibly brave thing. What you should have done was land your plane. You don't own that plane, the taxpayers do. Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. You've been busted. You lost your qualifications as section leader 3 times. Put in hack twice by me. With a history of high-speed passes over 5 air-controlled towers and 1 admiral's daughter. Penny Benjamin. And you, asshole, you're lucky to be here.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to bust your butt, but I can't. I got another problem here. I gotta send somebody from this squadron to Miramar. I gotta give you your dream shot. I'm gonna send you up against the best. You 2 characters are going to Top Gun. For 5 weeks, you're gonna fly against the best fighter pilots in the world. You were number 2, Cougar was number 1. Cougar lost it, turned in his wings. You guys are number 1. But you remember one thing. You screw up just this much, you'll be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong.
Yes, sir.
That is all. You can tell me about the mix some other time.
Gentlemen.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So Mav shows up on his. Should have looked this up ahead of time. What was it? It was Ninja 900.
Oh yeah, Ninja 900.
So Mav shows up to Fighter Town, USA, which is Miramar, California, which badass name for a town. I would love to like call the bank or something like, and what is your mailing address? And you're like, Fighter Town, USA.
Yeah. Yeah, you know the enemies, if they're looking at attacking you on a map, they're not going to pick that spot.
Yeah, they're going for a Pearl Harbor. They ain't going for a Fighter Town.
Too soon.
Too soon. So like 70 years too soon.
It's wrong. I apologize to all you World War II veterans who are still alive and listening to us, which is none of you.
So Mav shows up on his Ninja 900 crotch rocket, which looks so sweet.
It for back in the day, it absolutely
For
did.
now,
that was a P magnet. For sure.
I would proudly ride that now.
Now?
Yeah, I'm a crotch rocket kind of guy though.
Yeah, but not now. That thing's age, bro.
But it looks cool. Like I like the BMWs, even though I have like a newer one. I would love to get my hands on like an 80s.
All right, I can
like
get on board with
I just
that.
love those styles. It
Okay.
would just ride around you. But I would proudly ride that motorcycle. But Mav, of course, because Tim respects that he plays by his own rules and challenges authority, goes right through the controlled area of the airfield, like meow, like ripping through the ILS system, screwing up instrument approaches.
Where are the guys with the shotguns that are shooting birds at? Why aren't they shooting Maverick?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the coyotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
birds too. We had stuff on base, but it shot blanks because they didn't want to kill animals. So if they were, on both sides of the runway.
Well, I was only laughing because I went to Lawrence, Mass, which is a rough city,
True.
as you can imagine, but the airport there is surprisingly beautiful in the area.
Yeah, because it's surrounded by shotguns.
Yeah, but there was a guy there. I was doing touch and goes because you had to just go to another airport, and they were like, "Oh, hang on one second, we're gonna go shoot a coyote real quick." And there was some gentleman whose job was to ride around in a pickup truck and shoot coyotes because I guess they're infested on the airport. Lawrence,
huh?
Mass. I know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I just think it's funny that the military is like, we don't want to kill stuff. We'll just shoot blanks. But Lawrence is like, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
So I know this is the 80s, so it's pre 9/11. But I feel like a military airbase where as he's driving in, there's a fighter jet approaching. I feel like somebody who's riding right up the runway, essentially, in civilian clothing, would at least be questioned on that, let alone taken out immediately. Loadmaster?
It's Hollywood.
That's Hollywood. That's gonna be your excuse for everything.
No, that seriously, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
That wouldn't happen.
like he would be in Leavenworth immediately after that, right?
Detained for sure.
Yeah,
Or
at the
shot with a blank.
Yeah, at the very least, or they'd send him to Lawrence.
So there's a briefing, and this is where we meet the commander of Top Gun, which is Jester, and Viper, and then we meet the second in command, which is Jester.
There
and
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're talking about the Top Gun Academy and what you got to do and all that kind of jazz.
And my favorite part is they explain that the reason that this school was started is in Korea, the U.S. had a 12-to-1 kill ratio. So for every 12 enemy aircraft that got down, the U.S. would lose one. And then it dropped in Vietnam to a 3-to-1 ratio. And their rationale behind that was they got too dependent on this new missile, air-to-air missile, and they lost some of their dogfighting skills. So this school is all about teaching dogfighting skills. But spoiler alert, you're going to see, I hope you like people talking about missile lock in good tone, because all they do is try to get missile lock.
Yeah, and so they pass too. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, we're teaching you how to dogfight, but you're going to pass.
And I'll give them a little slack that I'm sure it's difficult to simulate machine gun fire because like it's not like you're playing paintball up there and you're like I hit you with
they still have tracer rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. But I was gonna say it's a little bit harder to sit, but it's like they do nothing but go for missile.
Yeah, there's like really very minimal machine gun.
Yeah,
which
so
is fit, and I believe it's a 50 cal
I think so.
that's in them. So
At least back then, they probably have something redonkulously bigger now.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
like
know.
a 37 millimeter or something like that.
they're going through the briefing, and I think one of my favorite parts about this scene is Iceman. We'll use handles. So Iceman and Maverick kind of lock eyes.
I don't know about you, but I know this movie is supposed to set up Maverick as the protagonist and Iceman as the antagonist, but I like Iceman way better than Maverick.
The whole movie?
Yeah,
Really?
Maverick's a dick.
Yeah, but so are you. That's why I thought you'd like Maverick.
No, I mean, Iceman's a dick too, but I am not a dick. How dare you?
No, wait. Why? What more about Iceman?
Why do I like him more?
Yeah.
Because for the most part, he just lets his flying do his talking. Point of information, who's sitting behind who? And one of those probably should have been a whom, but whom is sitting behind who, or who is sitting behind whom?
Horton hears a hoe.
Yeah. But who's sitting behind who?
So Maverick's pretty much in the front row.
Okay. So
And
that
Maverick's
eye
just looking around.
contact.
All right. Well, tell me you haven't been in a training, okay, as a firefighter, and you're looking around and saying, all right, who's a real tool and who knows what they're doing?
I'm just saying, who is theoretically looking eyes forward and who turns around like a dick to be like, who am I going to pick a fight with?
I hate it when you're right.
But yeah, so Mav and Iceman lock eyes a couple times and just like immediately are like, I hate you. They don't know anything about each other, but just from the way they look at each other, they're like, I hate you right now.
Right. Well, yeah, pretty much.
For no reason other than they're the biggest egos there.
I would agree.
I
Yeah.
think that's a fair statement.
All right. The two biggest egos. I agree.
Yeah, and so the homoeroticism starts early too, because
Very early.
Because not only are they making eyes at each other, but then they're talking about, some of the maneuvers, and another guy leans over and goes, "This is giving me a hard on." Not to say that this is like a gay movie, because I don't think it is, but this was definitely like a pioneer of now guys will make jokes about like that kind of stuff, or like slap each other on the ass as a joke. But I feel like back in the 80s, this was
different.
This was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you tried to do some of the shit that they do in this movie, 30 years ago, and you weren't Top Gun, the movie,
yeah,
like you'd get your ass knocked out.
Right.
It wouldn't have been funny. Like they wouldn't have been like, huh.
Yeah, and Kilmer didn't even want to do this movie, but he had to because of contractual obligations. Yeah, he was forced to by the studios. But I think this establishes too Goose has a lot of retorts or comments throughout a lot of scenes in this movie, and they're so funny. They're to the point, and they're very humorous. And he says in this one, I think Iceman says, "Hey, the plaque for the alternates is in the ladies' room." And Goose is like, "Oh, ha, 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 ha." And then he looks at the plaque that's on the wall and he goes, No. There's two O's in Goose Boys. So his comebacks are freaking fantastic.
And his fake laugh was hilarious. So Viper says to the room, and he addresses it to the room. So it's like a rhetorical question. He goes, "Do you think you're going to win? Do you think you're going to be the best?" And Mav, of course, goes, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "That's pretty arrogant considering the company that you're in."
And what does he say again?
"Yes, sir."
I like that in a pilot.
Yep.
See? So Viper likes him.
He does.
Right.
He does. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a terrible person.
Why can't you like him if Viper likes him? Viper's a good pilot.
Maybe that's it. I'm a shitty pilot. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Come at me, bro. That's your first pigeon chest. That's an on-air pigeon chest.
Really? That's where you went with that?
Yeah. So then it cuts to a bar scene because they've been working hard. They went to a briefing, and it's time for some R&R.
Damn Navy. We're on base, and I only established this after the fact because I saw how shitty the bathrooms were. There was a sign outside of this bar. Do you remember what the sign said outside the bar? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you kidding me? This would never happen on a military base.
Yeah, it was like Animal Night.
Yeah, it said Animal Night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who does that? This is an officers club.
Yeah, in which I was like, is that the name of the... Well, I don't think it's the name of the bar.
No.
Are they having like a theme night? But then there's no theme once you go inside.
Oh, there is too. Everybody wears their fucking sunglasses inside. That's what the theme is.
A Corey Hart theme.
Yeah.
I wear my sunglasses.
My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Not that I expected people dressed up like furries, but yes, that did confuse me.
Furries.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't expect them to be literal, but it did confuse me a little bit.
I have this written down, which I crossed off because I then realized that they were in the officers club on base, but you're not supposed to drink in public when you're in uniform. That's against the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Unless you're an officer?
No, you're not supposed to do it,
there's
period.
no exception?
Yeah, but then I realized once the bathroom scene, which we're going to talk about, comes up, I saw the bathroom. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a military bathroom. And I realized they were at the officers club. They weren't off post.
It's off.
You can do it on post, but if you go off base, you are not to drink in uniform.
So they walk in, and Mav says to Goose, "This is what I call a target-rich environment."
Yeah.
Which is another good quote that creepers at the bar seem to throw out all the time.
Yeah, and there's, they belly up to the bar and order what? A frickin' Budweiser. Because that's all that's around this bar is Budweiser.
My boy Iceman's not drinking Budweiser, though.
No, he's got a sniffer drink.
Yeah, I don't know what he's got, like a
look
glass full of ice. It really is.
He's Iceman.
So Mav and Goose are talking about the different people they see around, and Goose goes, "Hey, that's Iceman. They say he's the best. He's cool as ice. Like, he's got patience. He'll wear you down, and when you make a mistake, that's when he pounces." And Mav's like, "Yeah, not impressed." And then so Iceman and his
handle,
thank you, is Slider.
Yeah, Slider.
Right? They come over and start talking to him, and says, "I'm sorry to hear about Cougar. I went, we were like brothers in flight school, and he was a good man." And he goes, "He is a good man." So, yeah.
see, you're so angry.
Yeah,
you're gonna do this episode too. You're gonna, whenever you portray somebody you don't like, you're
yeah, because the person I don't like is Maverick.
It's
which
very
is
obvious.
Probably an unpopular opinion, I know, but yeah, he's like, he is a good man. And he's like, yeah, that's what I meant. He's like, sure it is.
Hey, Slider. Thought you wanted to be a pilot, man. What happened?
Goose, you're such a dickhead. Whose butt did you kiss to get in here, huh?
Well, the list is long but distinguished.
Yeah, well, so's my Johnson.
So you're flying with Iceman, huh?
It's Mr. Iceman to you.
Hey, Mother Goose, how's it going? I'm doing good, Tom. This is Pete Mitchell, Tom Kazansky.
Congratulations on Top Gun.
Thank you.
Sorry to hear about Cougar. He and I were like brothers in flight school. He was a good man.
Still is a good man.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Thought so.
I'll see you later.
You can count on it. They were abused children. We're gonna have a good time. Always.
And it's like, okay.
Right. Well, yeah, I think we've established at this point, right now, they're both kind of dicks.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, he was trying to be somewhat civil, and so there that go.
Who?
Iceman.
I guess, because he went over and talked with them, but, he had this arrogance of varsity about him.
Yeah.
Oh, you agree?
Yeah, I do.
All right, cool.
And maybe he's just a little socially awkward. God can't give you good flying skills, good looks, and a great personality. You got to come up short somewhere.
So where are you short?
All three. Well, I can land like a son of a bitch. Though.
Yeah, you can, but your steep turns suck.
They are adequate at best now. Good enough. And we find out that Goose is married, so he's being a good little boy, but Mav is single. So
and a perv.
Yeah, so they make a bet that gonna have carnal knowledge
of a woman
with
this
a
time.
woman this time,
which was funny.
And then Mav's like, no problem.
On
and
the
then
premises.
He's like, on the premises. And he's like, oh, well, still no problem. I'll get this. So he
eyeballs a blonde.
He does
with a mushroom haircut.
Yeah.
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 And he's like, but Goose, she's lost that love and feeling.
And she didn't. No, she didn't.
And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, and Goose is like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
I hate it when she does that.
Yeah. And then, so he gets the microphone. He starts singing, she's lost that love and feeling.
Not bad, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, that was bassy.
Thanks, buddy.
That was good.
And the whole bar joins in, and then...
Yeah, everybody. It was cool.
Surrounds this chick, and then he just passes off the mic to the black guy.
He's got skills.
Yeah, because we all know that the black guy can sing and play the bass guitar.
And dance.
Yeah, because if you think this movie's racist now, just
wait. Just you wait till you find out what his handle
it's not
is.
Thatcher and Tim are racist. We
no,
just have to...
this movie is 100% racist.
Yeah, she asked him...
how many times they've done this.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this is just the second time. And I crashed and burned the last
first
time.
one. Oh, she's like, and the second?
Yep.
She's playing coy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And then he's like, ooh, and then she's like, I gotta go. I'm meeting my friend. And she goes and sits with this other guy who's the real Viper in
Top Gun.
In real
yeah, that's
life.
pretty cool.
It is. That's a cool little cameo. And so he's like, bomb, bomb, the blue balls. And then she sits with him for like half a second and gets up. She goes to the bathroom. And he follows her into the bathroom like a total creep.
Really? You didn't find that, like...
Romantic? Because
Bathrooms aren't romantic?
No, this is 2020 where bathrooms have been more confusing than ever. And,
Amen.
And as a straight man, do you think you could follow a straight female into a female restroom and not get maced or arrested?
No, but this is me. I don't look like Maverick.
So you're saying he got a pass because he's good
Oh,
looking?
yeah, and he's wearing that cool uniform.
Or maybe because he's so short, they thought like it was like, you know, when moms will take their kids into the bathroom?
He thought he was a baby.
Yeah, I used to get weirded out by that because my mom would like take me into the women's
And I'd
room.
be like,
And I'd be like,
this
Mom, I'm
girl."
not supposed to be in here. And she'd be like, no, it's okay. You're with me. And I'm like, I don't think it works that way. I don't think I get a vouch.
I'm going to follow my wife next time.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm okay. I'm with you.
Yeah,
She's just standing there doing some lipstick, and she's like, oh, what's all this about? You think we're just going to drop onto the floor and do it? It kind of ends that way, where she walks by Goose, and she says, your friend was magnificent. And he's like, oh, shit.
yeah, he's like, what?
What? No way. No
Yeah.
way.
Though he would have, if that was the case, if she wasn't just busting balls, he would have been the fucking boyfriend from Halloween.
True.
Yeah, he went
Yeah.
from Haddonfield to Miramar. We got to figure out that character's name from the first one.
We do.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, that means you didn't listen to the first episode.
And shame on you. We're in a hangar now, which is absolutely no sense.
yeah, there's like jets taking off. And
It's like, this wouldn't work.
yeah,
And
you and I,
JP8 filling your nostrils. And a hangar to me is prime real estate.
right?
They're not going to set up chairs for some schmohawks to stand there.
Yeah, or like
Sit there.
Or like when we did that airport drill at the Manchester airport,
Yeah.
right? Like, so we're firefighters, so we had to go there and do a drill, and you're trying to listen to the briefing, and there's 737s like departing and arriving, and it's like, what did you say? Like, and I can only imagine an F-14 is way louder.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like a poor choice of locations. It's like this doesn't seem very conducive to learning, but that's federal government for you.
Yeah, and this is, they're introducing a civilian instructor. And what drives me crazy about the scene, and this is pretty much the only thing I have to say, is one of the Top Gun attendees is wearing an effing cowboy hat and uniform. Drives me insane.
Maybe it was a ballistic helmet.
It's a ballistic cowboy
I
helmet.
worked with somebody who had a firefighting forestry helmet that was shaped like a cowboy hat.
I hate him.
You
I hate him. I don't even know him. I hate him.
You would. Maybe that's what it's like. It's a ballistic helmet.
No, this thing was made of felt. I could see it. I hate him. Although I take that back. So this is where we're introduced to Charlie. So in the previous scene, the chick Maverick was hitting on is now you realize that she is a civilian instructor for Top Gun. And Maverick it's funny, he doesn't have his shades on prior to her arrival. And he slips them on and he does the little slide down his chair a little bit.
Down.
Yeah, because he
like,
got totally
"Fuck."
dissed by her.
Yeah, he's like, shit. Her name is Charlotte Blackwood, codename Charlie. And you don't have to salute her because she's a civilian.
Right. Well, you don't have to salute anybody in this fucking movie.
To which they all say, not a problem, because we don't
Yeah.
salute the admiral. And the government trusts her, so you should too.
It's like, come on.
It's like, why? Because she's a woman?
Yeah.
Women don't know nothing. No, that's what he was saying. That's not me. Don't make that face. But that's what his comment was.
No, it wasn't.
You don't think so?
No.
I think that's basically what his comment was.
Well,
the government trusts her. Like, I know you guys probably don't because...
All right, well, yeah, but he's talking to a bunch of cocky pilots.
That's what I'm
He's got to
saying.
say something.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
it's the pilot's fault, not his. But I think another good part of the scene is Goose kind of explains to Charlie. Charlie finds out that Maverick and Goose had a contact with a MiG, which not a lot of American pilots had.
Yeah, because Mav told her he mansplained that her data on the MiGs was incorrect.
Incorrect, yeah.
And she was like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, I've been closer to
Well,
one.
we...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we. Yeah, the dialogue is just hilarious.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. Is there something wrong?
Yes, ma'am. The data on the MiG is inaccurate.
How's that, Lieutenant?
Well, I just happened to see a MiG-28 Sorry, Goose. We happened to see a MiG-28 do a 4G negative dive.
Where did you see this?
That's classified.
It's what?
It's classified? I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Lieutenant, I have top secret clearance. The Pentagon sees to it that I know more than you.
Well, ma'am, it doesn't seem so in this case now, does it?
Where exactly were you?
Well,
Thank you.
started up on his 6 when he pulled through the clouds, and then I moved in above him.
Well, if you were directly above him, how could you see him?
Because I was inverted.
Bullshit. No, he was, man. It was a really great move. He was inverted.
You were in a 4G inverted dive with a MiG-28?
Yes, ma'am.
At what range?
No, about 2 meters.
Well, it's actually about 1.5, I think. It was 1.5. I've got a great Polaroid of it, and he's right there. Must be 1.5.
It was a nice
meters.
picture. He wasn't half. Thanks.
Lieutenant.
I like my pictures.
What were you doing there?
Communicating.
Communicating. Keeping up foreign relations. I was, giving him the bird.
You know, the finger.
Yes, I know the finger, Goose.
I'm sorry. I hate it when it does that. I'm sorry. You know what that is? Excuse me.
So you're the one.
Yes, ma'am.
This next scene is we're talking about our first of evolutions in the Top Gun. What would you call it? A curriculum? Would you call that? I've never been
Yeah.
to Top Gun.
Want me to do narrator voice?
Do whatever you want.
So this is the voice of Jester.
Correct.
Gentlemen, this is your first hop. The jets you are flying against are smaller, faster, and more maneuverable, just like the enemy MiGs. The clock is ticking, and as of now, we are keeping score. To which I said, if they're smaller, faster, and more maneuverable, why the fuck are we still flying them?
Why don't we buy their planes?
Well, so that's the thing, is they're using F4s as a analog. That's my vocab word for enemy MiGs.
Correct.
So those are F4s flying around. My safety officer that I alluded to earlier, that's what he was flying back in the day.
Crazy. It blows my mind.
But yeah, so if they're smaller, faster, more maneuverable,
What
what the fuck?
Why
Like,
are we fighting them?
Yeah, yeah,
They go over the rules of this. Every hop, they call them hops.
yeah.
And-
Which I don't, that's got to stand for something, but of
Yeah,
course
I
they
didn't
don't-
look it up.
They don't explain it.
No. And each hop is basically, hey, you're going up in the air against an enemy and you've got to engage him and you got to take him out.
And
So-
the hard deck for this hop
Was
is
10,000 feet.
They're flying around. They've got one on their tail, and Goose goes, "Come on, man, do some of that pilot
Shit, yeah. And I have it noted here. I don't think you'll have the answer to this because you're not necessarily engaging in dogfight when you go up and fly.
It's frowned upon in the traffic pattern.
Yeah. So why are these guys constantly turning around looking behind them? Did you notice that every time they're in a dogfight and somebody's on their tail, they're turning around looking behind them?
To see where the plane is. I mean, they do actually
How
have...
the F?
They do have a little bit of a rear view mirror strip right at the top of the canopy, and that's just not a movie thing but yeah, to see where the enemy is.
How the hell are you going to see an aircraft flying at over 300 miles an hour?
Yeah. It'd probably be really hard unless it was really close.
Don't they have instruments that do that?
Yeah, that'd be Goose's job, I would think.
Yeah,
I mean, 'cause what is his position ultimately? Like a navigator?
He is like a yeah.
But I think his job would probably be to watch radar for enemy aircraft. I don't know. I'm with you.
I found it so frustrating to me when they kept turning around looking.
And you do bring up a valid point because just even flying around the traffic pattern, it's really hard to see other planes. They're microscopic.
Yeah,
even when you're only
it
a
just
couple hundred feet away.
makes
If they
no
get
sense.
big, you like poo your pants.
I just found
a jet
it
flying
strange.
that fast. You're right. They probably wouldn't.
But there's some good flying going on here. The one thing that I thought was odd about Hop 1 was they established that the hard deck was 10,000 feet. So a hard deck in an engagement is you're not supposed to engage below that footage now or below that level.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's established for safety reasons. So as I was watching, they were chasing Jester before the whole sequence ends with Jester going, oh, okay, I can't see Maverick. I'm going to drop below 10,000 and he can't chase me anymore because I don't know where he is. But as they were going around before that happened, they were flying pretty close to the mountains.
Yeah.
Now, that's not 10,000 feet.
Oh, so that brings up an aviation conundrum if we're talking about MSL or AGL. So mean sea level or above ground level.
Okay, so was that established?
No, of course not.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right, because I bet it's for safety reasons. There might be some sort of Geneva Convention that you can't engage under 10,000 feet too. So I'm wondering if people don't have time to deploy their chutes, or I think because the movie doesn't explain that 10,000 feet, like you said, was just established for safety. And after the fact, they said that, Jester, who's playing the enemy Meg, right? It's a one-on-one fight, that he said no joy or something, I guess.
Yeah, he called no joy.
Yeah, which means like this is over. But I think, because he's on their tail, he was about to get him, and then Maverick goes, I'll hit the brakes and he'll fly right by. And he did, right? So he
he pulled the e-brake. I didn't know F-14s had an e-brake.
I do think they have some sort of speed brake. No, I was in all seriousness.
Yeah, but he pulled back on the
yoke.
Yeah. Which would not have caused him to brake. It would have caused him to go vertical.
Which he did, right?
Oh, I suppose,
and then I think they do have some sort of speed brake. Like even like commercial jets, like 737s, they have those. They're like not the flaps that go under the wing. They're a flap that goes up from the top wing, from the top
How
of the
those effers not rip off?
I don't know. How's the wing not rip off?
All right, well, that's exposed you bring a valid point.
Yeah, that's exposed to more forces, just engineering. But so I think that after they did that and they were going to get a lock on Jester.
You think he ran?
I think he did, because how embarrassing would it be if on day one you get shown up, you're second in command, right?
Yeah.
And then when he got chased under the hard deck, he's like, oh, you boys violated the rules of engagement. Because I don't know about you, but I had instructors like that at the fire academy. We weren't obviously dogfighting like this, but they would be like, hey, we're working on, advancing a 2.5 using just you make the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you guys fucking failed. Let me show you how to do it. And then they pull a piece of webbing out of their pocket and use that to advance it around the corner. Oh, okay. And you go to use webbing. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're just it's like, well, but you just use a webbing. Oh, well, your webbing ripped. You know what I mean? Because you can't ever show your instructor up. They're always going to be better than you. So, they had all the tools in the toolbox where you can only do whatever. So I think that's what it was. I think Jester didn't want to get shown up, so he flew below the hard deck, being like, "Oh, I don't know where they went."
Yeah, he does. Yeah, okay. Yeah, probably.
That's my theory. So although I like Jester, that was kind of a dick move.
It was, and he's like, "Get your butts back above deck and get back to." Base.
Yeah,
get back to base immediately.
And so they do.
So, well, no, not really. I mean, Maverick is like, man, we're on a sugar high here. I think it's time to buzz the tower. So he calls the tower and he says, this is Ghost Rider requesting a flyby.
Yep. Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
And, of course, he does a flyby of the tower, and the air boss, which he's called in the Navy, gets coffee spilled all over him, and he's all pissed off. So.
Yeah. Oh, that brings up a good point. So Heather, God bless her, she actually was talking to me about this movie, right? Because she probably won't listen.
She won't listen to us.
She won't listen to our podcast, but she goes, you should do a coffee-based alcoholic drink, because that guy gets coffee spilled on him 3 times. So she had some insightful trivia to provide, but yeah, she won't listen to this, and she doesn't like this movie either.
Well, God bless her, though, for at least contributing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, my
more than you've done, Kylie.
Yeah, my daughter said that she listened to the first one, or a bunch of it, and thought we were funny. And then when I said, well, how far did you listen to? She goes, well, only the piece that you sent me.
Which is the whole effing thing, right?
Right, which should have been the whole thing.
All right, so after Hop 1, it cuts to the showers, the locker room, and they're all discussing it. Jester nailed us. He went this way, then I went that way, and I said, where'd he go? And Hollywood goes, where's who go?
He should have screamed no joy and went below to 1,000 feet.
Yeah, so that was kind of dumb, but then Mav and Goose were like, oh, not us. We got him.
Well, Slider goes, oh, well, Hollywood said, oh, well, they won too.
That's not what I heard. Goose was like, we got him. He's like, yeah, you went below the hard deck, though. You violated the rules of engagement. And hard deck my ass. We nailed him.
You did it. You did it again. You hate Maverick. I love it.
You guys really are cowboys.
What's your problem, Kazansky?
You're everyone's problem. That's because every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe. I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right. Ice, man, I am dangerous.
They really sold it because they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
And it was so good knowing that going in this time and seeing the interaction between the two. And Iceman even kind of gives him a little air chomp.
Yeah, bites his teeth together.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of Hop 1 and shower scene 1.
Yeah, because there are multiple shower scenes.
A lot goes down in bathrooms. A lot of important conversations.
Oh, well, a lot of important things go down in Navy bathrooms. We'll say that. I'll say that. You don't have to say that. I'll say it. They do that flyby. And then they're in some offices next to the flight line. And this is obviously Viper's area. They're waiting outside, and they can hear the air boss just chewing Viper out, saying, "You and your snot-nosed jockeys do a flyby of my tower over 400 knots. I want some butts." So yeah, after the chewing out, it's so funny. He comes out of the office, the pit boss. No, air boss. Pit boss is like a Viper.
That would be Days of Thunder.
yeah. So see, thank you, Tony Scott. So he comes out of the office, and there's this nerd who's obviously just a clerk
And he's
walking
coming
by.
down the hallway. He's already nervous.
Yeah,
Like
he's
the
shaking.
tray is shaking.
He's like, "Oh, my boss is gonna yell at me today."
He's like, "This is your moment, man. You deliver this
I'm gonna
coffee
shine.
without spilling a drop, and you'll make it to Corporal. You got this."
Corporals in the army.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's semen. He's gonna make semen.
Another awesome Seaman and Lone Master. He goes out and slams the door and walks into the coffee guy. God damn it, that's twice today.
I want some
I
butts.
want some butts.
And then, of course, Viper and Jester come out, and Jester says, "Follow me." And they go into Viper's office. Again, no saluting.
It should be called the Snake Pit.
The snake pit.
That'd be cool.
Viper is a snake.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I fucking said that.
Snake pit, actually, the snake pit is a term that was used in the military.
For a gay bar.
Okay, boomer. So anyway.
Okay, boomer.
So they get inside and they get chewed out by Viper, and they're saying, "Hey, look, the Top Gun rules exist, not for you, for the safety of your crew and those around you. They're not flexible, and I am not." This is the one time where I've seen a commanding officer
show some leadership.
Yeah, where he's like, "Look, you stupid bastard. This is why they exist. It's not just enforcing; it's explanation." I like it. So they get yelled at, and it's so funny. Goose delivers again. They pop out, and Goose is like, "Oh, thanks for that, Mav. This is great." He's like, "Hey, you got that number for the truck driving school? I'm probably going to need that."
I know. I would love to see that resume. Like when he applies.
Navy, naval.
When he applies.
I think you're overqualified for this job.
When he applies to truck driving school, 1986 to current naval aviator. Jester and Viper continue talking after they leave. And he goes, "He's reckless, he's unpredictable." And Viper goes, "He got you, didn't he?" Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I flew with his old man.
If you had to go into war, would you want him with you?" And Jester's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't know."
After getting chewed out, we see Maverick sitting in his dorm room, I guess you could call it. And he's probably looking over some notes of, flights or whatnot. And Goose comes in, and it's a one of the very few serious scenes in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's good because they actually showed some acting chops.
And yeah, absolutely. And it establishes the rapport between not only the two actors, but the two characters themselves, and how much they care for each other, and pretty much how Goose is saying, "Look, man, you're the ace. You're the varsity player. And I need you to continue to provide for my family."
Yeah, he said, he's like, "I've got a family to worry about. When we first got here, I was worried about placing first, winning that trophy, but now I just hope we graduate. I've got a family to worry about." And Mav's like, "Yeah, I guess that flyby wasn't such a good idea after all." So he shows remorse for the first and only time in this movie.
No, he shows it more than once, guy.
All right.
But I think this, for all you listeners, if you're not sure of how Hollywood operates, this is a very good foreshadowing scene, because it's very much where there is the very melancholy music, and Goose is looking to Maverick to say, "Hey, I need you to save me."
Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
There's no spoiler here. He counts on Maverick.
Spoiler alert, Mav lets him down.
So now we're in a classroom. Charlie comes up to Maverick, and she looks at his papers, and she's like, "If you switch to XYZ, you could, improve your chances or whatever." And Maverick's like, "Yeah, but if I do this and that, I can get him with guns." And she's like, "Well,
that's pretty aggressive, isn't it?"
And he's like, "Well, I guess when I see something I want, I go right after it." Ooh. Yeah, establishing more that he wants to bone her.
Yeah, and so she was like, and she slips him this note.
Well, no, he goes, you didn't give me a chance to finish the other night." when they're talking about the bathroom.
Because she is DTF, but she has to do the little inner office romance and pretend that's never happening. She writes him a note as though like she's grading
as
his
they're talking,
paper,
yeah,
and it says it's her address and like meet me there tonight and like classified, which is pretty cool. So
right.
Obviously she's not supposed to be banging the students.
But I think Charlie's been around the block.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably what she meant by "you're the one." She's like, "You're the one I'm gonna fuck in this school."
This class.
This class. There's a separate plaque for it. That's the plaque that's in the ladies' room. Who fucked Charlie? But I will say, Heather and I had that at work, and we started dating outside of it, and so like we had to like keep our romance a secret
on the down low.
Yeah, and it's so awesome.
What is?
I don't know, just like
keep it on the down low. Sneaking a relationship, really?
Yeah,
I've never had to do that.
Yeah, it's cool. Just because, like, of course, like she would come and like pretend she wasn't there to see me.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah,
and be like, "Oh,
that
hey,
probably,
like,
yeah.
I'm just bringing this shift cookies because you guys are the best."
So
and
that probably added an air of, oh my gosh, if we get caught.
Yeah,
all right,
I
get it.
And then like she would leave, and then like of course the guys would make comments and be like, "Oh man, like could you imagine?" I'm like, "Oh."
That didn't piss you off?
No.
Oh, that would have pissed me off.
No, man, like it's like driving a Ferrari around town. Do you get pissed that everyone's like, "That fucker, I want to be in that Ferrari"?
But you don't hear them say that to your face.
But you know that they are. No, you'd get pissed if they got in your Ferrari, but you don't care if they want to get in your Ferrari.
Slider says to Maverick, it's so funny because Charlie makes it seem like she was dissing him. So Slider's got this fake little MiG that he's flying around in the air like some tool. He's the kid that would eat crayons in class.
Yeah, the glue.
And, and he goes, ooh, crash and burn, huh, Mav?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, Slider, you stink, which is perfect.
It's so funny.
He took a book from Goose's pages.
Fuck you. So it's just so funny because it's not like clever or witty. It's just like it's so simple, but it catches you off guard. It's effective because it catches you off guard. And just to reference that, like Tim won't let it go. Anytime I slip up on any sort of common saying or idiom, he writes it down to bring it up anytime. Like one time I said, yes, I took a book out of his page instead of a page out of his book. I'm so sorry. We can't all be perfect like Tim, who tries to order ham by the gallon.
So we get to the volleyball scene, which I think is good because it kind of breaks up the monotony of this brings a kind of a different perspective to the movie where it shows you not the camaraderie. What's the opposite of that? The competitiveness between the crews. Not animosity, because they don't seem very angry at each other, but there's a competitiveness.
Yeah.
And they're outside, and it just doesn't end with the aircraft. They want to beat each other in everything.
Yeah.
And they're playing volleyball.
Which has never looked cooler.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I've never played a match of volleyball like that. I've only ever played it at like family reunions and picnics where it's like 12 on 12. And
not 2 on 2.
And the ball lands between like 4 people.
And you're like, who the fuck got it?
Yeah, and you pull the Daria, like you point at the next person. It's like, does anybody even fucking like this game?
Yeah. But these guys have, not for sounding, they have good bodies.
Gay?
They have. I would always have my shirt off if I looked like any one of them.
Oh, I know. Me
although Anthony Edwards kept his on because he's like, oh my god, these guys got muscles. And
he's got the dad bod. He's a dad.
No, he's a dad, but he's skinny as AF.
No, it's true. But
so I mean, it's quite funny, and I think this whole scene it really doesn't serve anything other than to attract the ladies to the film. But there's one line from this scene that is so effing hilarious that Slider says, and I know you just chuckled, and I know you know what this line is.
Yeah, because they want a rematch.
It's like 2-1
after the first round.
It's 2v2.
Yeah, and Mav looks at his watch because he's
got a date with Charlie.
He's got some poon at noon. And he's like, I gotta get going.
I gotta go get the poon.
And so they want a rematch, including Goose. And Mav's like, I'm sorry, buddy, I gotta
go.
And yeah, Slider goes, Mother Goose, you pussy.
And it's not Goose's fault.
Yeah, I know. It's just so funny.
You pick on the weakest yak in the herd.
Yeah, and Goose goes like, "Come on, man, I need you. Don't let me down."
And Maverick takes off. So
and
yeah, he's a dick.
spoiler alert.
So he takes off. So he's got to go to meet up with Charlie for a dinner date.
Before we get there, though, right? So I give Hollywood sometimes too much credit because they're playing volleyball in jeans. No shirt, of course, but jeans.
Impossible.
Yeah, and oh my god, and this
just
is,
for the
and,
nutsack
and
alone.
This is fucking California too.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like, "Bleh," and I'm like, all
you know
right.
your balls are loose as hell and stuck to your leg.
And I'm like, all right, well, he's in a hurry, right? So I'm sure they don't show the shower scene, but as much of a hurry as he's in, he must have, like, you know, at least.
Well, you would think.
Yeah, and you're like, all right.
You want to impress a chick.
Yeah, you're like, so I'll give Hollywood some artistic license here that they just skip the shower scene. But as soon as he gets to Charlie's house, he's like, I need to take a shower. And I'm like, I'm like, dude, you go over to a chick's house for the first time. You've been flying fucking planes in the California heat all day. Then you play volleyball on the beach in jeans and you don't fucking wash your nuts with a little aqua velva. Like, come on.
Aqua velva. That would sting.
It smells so good though.
They just kind of go back and forth. They have dinner. She tells him he can't shower, and then they're sitting out on her screen porch listening to sitting on the dock of the bay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's Otis Redding.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he's just saying this reminds me of my folks, and my mom would always make me go downstairs and put the needle back on at the beginning of the album.
And then he talks about his dad was a F-4 fighter pilot, you know, like he was one of the best, and he doesn't know what happened to him because it's all classified and they won't talk about it.
Yeah.
But the implication is that his dad screwed up.
Right.
He's like,
right.
no way, man. No way.
Yeah, my dad was a great fighter pilot.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of sexual tension between the two. They kind of somewhat face to face almost, and then he's like, I'm out. I'm going to shower. And
sorry.
Go ahead. No.
No.
I missed something.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, I was going to ask, like, did you think they had any sort of chemistry? On-screen chemistry?
On screen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, not even during the sex scene.
Yeah, and it was one of those, like... And
I think...
Again, I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, and I don't like the character of Maverick, and I don't find Kelly McGillis attractive, but it's just like...
So you have everything going against it
but
already.
it's just like, I'm just watching it, and I'm just like...
No, I could see
you know what
there
I
was
mean?
there was one bit where she looked at him and I could see a little bit of longing in her eyes, but no, the two of them didn't really. I think the chemistry between him and Val was great because it was true, whereas it felt forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he bolts out.
Yeah,
and she has a little tantrum on the wicker. Not when I say tantrum, she just kind of slaps her hands on the pillow and looks up to the sky, meaning I just let him leave.
Yep.
So
another date with the vibrator tonight. That can get into a negative 4G dive. Right?
Then we pop into the elevator scene, which was added post-production.
Yeah, and I think that's supposed to build tension, like, because they're having
more
like, this
sexual
conversation,
tension,
and then
yeah.
it like gets broken up, like, you know, that I don't know, but it just doesn't work for me.
And what pissed me off about this scene was a colonel comes into the elevator and interrupts them, and the colonel's wearing his fucking cap inside. I was so pissed. You don't wear your cap inside.
Maybe that's why Mav didn't salute him. He's like, I play by my own rules. Look at this prick.
Oh, it was those subtle nuances in the movie that really frustrated me because those are things that are embedded in you in basic training that you don't forget. And to see somebody wearing, and Maverick at one point doesn't wear his cap outside either, and that frustrated me as well, but whatever. Yep, so this is where we get introduced to Goose's family, i.e. his wife, which I don't know if her name ever came up.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
And his little son.
Yeah, and she was Meg Ryan, and this scene is only like 2 seconds long.
Very quick.
But it establishes for like the third time because like you brought up the wedding ring he was playing with, and then talking about his family. So Goose is a good old family man, and Mav's out chasing tail.
Yep, and that's pretty much what this scene established. She flew in too on a Navy plane, if you noticed. It's a very small one.
Yeah, like a little puddle
yeah,
jumper.
Yeah, which is she's probably flying space available, which is a thing in the military as well. So space A is where if a military plane, whether cargo or passenger, if there's room available for passengers, you can get on that flight for free if you're military or retired.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you can fly with all the rubber dog shit? If there's
Yeah,
room?
yeah. That's what Meg was flying with, some rubber dog shit. So we're in some sort of covered building and some sort
Covered building. So
Well,
descriptive. It's got a
well,
roof.
It looks all right. I take that back. I was going to use the word Connex. So we are in a Connex, and it definitely feels like a Connex. It's very tight quarters, and they are reviewing some of Maverick's flight patterns. I'm guessing it's from one of the recent hops. Charlie is really giving Maverick a hard time about what he did in this maneuver.
Yeah. But she's like, but lucky for you, it worked. So talk about a mixed message there. So
Right,
it's like,
typical woman. Right? You got the spot, but you didn't use it long enough. Maybe I've only heard that by myself. I'm short.
You choose not to grow your
I
dick.
choose not to grow my dick. Fucking hate you.
You know who you are. He makes some comment. She goes, that's a awful big gamble to take with a $30 million plane.
Right. And he's like, look, I'm the pilot. You're the civilian. Shut your fucking cake hole.
They finish up the debrief, you would call it.
Yeah.
And Mav storms out, and he goes and he hops on his Ninja 900.
Correct.
And Charlie's trying to follow him and justify what's going on.
Right. And she's yelling.
And she was like, I was right. You know it. And he fires up his bike and, what? I can't hear you. And like, peels out. And it was a pretty like pissy move on his part.
Would you not react the same?
He didn't give her the D the night before, though. He left her like blue-lipped. Not only are they like not a couple yet, but he was in the wrong, so.
Okay, but I can still.
He takes off because he's mad at her, obviously. And so she chases him. And what was she driving? Like
Porsche Spider.
Oh, an old Porsche. Or was it 80s vintage?
No, dude, this was definitely 50s or 60s.
Okay, I thought so, but.
Yeah.
Maybe it was James Dean's.
It could have been.
Too soon?
Because he was.
Is that too soon, too? He died in a Porsche Spider.
No, it's not too soon.
All right. So just to recap, Tim likes Hawaii, hates James Dean.
Affirmative.
Okay.
He finally pulls over after they're both racing around town.
She pursues him.
Yeah,
like
and
a
they're
mad
driving
woman.
like shitheads. And he pulls over on his bike and he's like, Jesus, and you call me crazy? He's like, I'll have you know when I fly, my crew and my something else come first. And she said, well, I'm going to finish my sentence, Lieutenant. My review of your flight performance was spot on. And she's basically saying that I held something back. I can't let everybody know that I've fallen for you. Oh.
And then they kiss on the side of the road.
Right. So now everybody knows.
And there was nobody around.
There's two people.
The motoring public.
Yeah.
But nobody from Top Gun. But they get to tell the grandkids that they had their first kiss on the side of the road in some sketchy...
In a moment of anger.
Yeah, I hate fucked your grandma.
I hate fuck.
That was our first.
Kids, let me take you back.
Yeah, it was a sunny 1986.
I was in my Ninja 100.
I had just played some
I
volleyball.
hate fucked your grandma.
I just played some volleyball without showering. So yeah, they go back to Charlie's place and they have
What? Oh yeah, they have coitus. They do.
Yeah, a very non-sexy coitus.
Well, there's a lot of tongue.
There is. I don't know, cause you take like I don't know. Have you seen 50 Shades of Grey, the movie?
No.
No.
Have you?
Yeah, the first one. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like
Not bad meaning you beat off or you didn't beat off.
I did not beat up.
All right, then it's really bad.
No, but that movie, despite all of its flaws, does have some sexual tension in it. And when you sit there and watch it, you're like, all right, but this is like, can we just get to the planes?
Oh,
the plane. I don't know.
So it's much better acting.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
This scene always reminds me of Hot Shots.
Yeah.
Where it's like the really awkward stuff on the belly, and it starts like with the ice cube and whatnot, and then he cracks an egg and bacon. That's the thing. It's like I probably shouldn't have been watching Hot Shots as a kid, but I think I saw Hot Shots just as much as I saw Top Gun. So a lot of these scenes I had like
intermixed.
Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, and then there's a scene where like she's riding on the horse and he goes by like standing on his motor. I'm like, oh wait a minute, no, that's Hot Shots. And then I was actually jumping ahead of myself, but when we actually find out what happened to his dad, that scene from Hot Shots it was Ryan Stiles, I think, actually.
I think so, yeah.
And he crashes, and then he gets like the twig stuck on it, and he looks like a deer, and he ends up.
He gets shot.
Man, as much as I love this movie, we should have done Hot Shots
Are you
instead.
kidding? And Hot Shots is about this closer to being a war movie than Top Gun is.
Yeah, and he takes off in the morning and leaves her a paper airplane.
Which is better than anything I could ever do.
Yeah, it's better than that fucking like dummy that Slider was like playing with earlier. Like, I don't know, maybe that's week 1 of Top Gun is how to fold sweet ass fighter plane paper airplanes. And we don't get to see it, but she unfolds it, and there's some sort of note written inside. What do you think? What do you think it says?
Don't eat the floating white mint.
What's that?
Well, when you use the urinal, there's a white mint and it's floating. Don't eat it.
I don't think Charlie uses the urinal though.
She could. I've seen pictures of women using urinals on Mardi Gras.
I've seen it in real life, actually.
You fucker.
No, it's not.
It's not as good as
it's not good. It's not good. So I was in a fraternity in college.
True.
And so we only had men's bathrooms, but they were set up as
hence fraternity.
Yeah, right. Because we didn't. Although we had women as guests, we had gang bathrooms. So not a gang shower. I don't know why that's so funny, Tim, Mr. Military, but it was almost a public bathroom. There was 3 shower stalls, and there was like 2 toilets and 2 urinals. Well, there would obviously be more than 2 women visiting us at any given time. And so one of them, I was in the bathroom one day, got impatient and backed up to a urinal, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna come back later. This is unpleasant."
Was she pooping?
No, she was peeing, but she popped a squat over a urinal. That's never sexy. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't want to watch anybody.
Well, our definitions differ.
Yeah, apparently. I don't care who you are. I don't want to watch that. So I was like, I'll just come back later. But what do you think that note said?
I have no clue. I couldn't imagine what Maverick was thinking.
I'd like to think it said, like, get yourself tested.
Get yourself tested.
Or, I got good tone.
I got good tone.
Fox 1.
Fox 1.
So now is the infamous quote. They're getting ready for another hop.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
And they do their cool high five between Mav and Goose. And so this is hop 19. We find out Iceman's in first place and Mav's in second place, and we're halfway through our Top Gun school. And now we have 2 enemies, Viper and Jester.
Yeah, so you're going against the elite that teaches the elite. Holy shit, it's Viper. And Goose says, yeah, he's up here going, holy shit, it's Maverick and Goose.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. He goes, oh, yeah, do you think he's saying, oh, shit, it's Mav and Goose?
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he's saying.
And so he's flying with Hollywood.
Hollywood and Wolfman. Yep.
Hollywood and Wolfman, yeah, and they're going after Jester.
Yeah, so they break off. So Jester and Viper break off, and Hollywood stays with Jester, and Maverick doing what he's supposed to by textbook. He's his wingman, because Hollywood had the lead, so he stays with Jester and Hollywood.
Yep, and then when he sees... Of course, Mav, being Mav, can't not take the bait. And he sees Viper and he's like, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go wipe out Viper real quick. And Hollywood's like, what the fuck? Like, you're my wingman. You're supposed to be on my wing. He's like, I know, but like real quick sees, like, be right back, right? And so, of course, Viper is able to get up behind him. And
how does that work in like the bar scene? Because you go out and you have a wingman with you. He's supposed to be your ability to seal the deal with the chick.
Yeah. For the fat friend.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Right. So how does that work if your wingman leaves you? You get the fat friend?
No, nobody gets laid.
Okay.
Because they got to stick together. Unless everybody goes home with a guy, they stick together.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah. You know,
because I've never done the wingman thing, so I was curious how it worked.
Me neither. I'm more of like a carpet bomb.
You just spread your seat everywhere.
No.
You paint the town white.
I'm more of like, not precision. I'm just gonna let some arsenal go and then see what I get.
All right, I follow. Did anything land on the target?
Yeah, exactly. You're always bound to get something. It might be a civilian target rather than your intended target, but you always get something.
All right, so Maverick takes the bait, leaves Hollywood behind, and of course Hollywood gets smoked by Jester.
Yep. And then Viper is able to get up on...
No, Viper just keeps saying, keep coming, and Jester takes
That's
Maverick
right.
out.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Jester who got him. So, yeah, he fell for it. Like, that's what they intended to do. They knew he was going to do it, and he did it.
Again, now we're back in the Navy showers.
Yes.
And did you see that in this shower scene, there was a bulletin board in the shower room?
Yep, I did.
What the fuck is a bulletin board doing in the shower room?
It would be very moldy, very moist.
Paper doesn't hold up well with water.
And cork. Yeah, that would be gross. But yeah, I was trying to read all the fun shit that was on there.
I couldn't read it.
Was
either.
like it's a calling, not like a job or something like that. Because you gotta love the recruitment posters after you already got the guy.
Right.
It's like,
right.
I don't know.
I didn't even catch that.
Maybe you're trying to get him to re-enlist. Jester, then Iceman both lecture Mav on leaving his wingman. And Iceman says, it's not your flying, it's your attitude.
Yep.
And he goes, you might not like the guys that you're flying with. They might not like you, but you got to remember,
we're a team.
We're a team. Whose side are you on? Solid point.
Well, growing up, I thought Iceman was dick, but it kind of made sense. He's not being a team player,
right?
And again, he marches to the beat of his own drum, I guess. Goodness gracious.
Great balls of fire.
Yeah.
So we're having dinner with Goose and his family, and then Mav and Charlie.
Yep.
And so like the girls are chit chat. Meg Ryan's character, who again I don't know. If
I can't recall the name.
But yeah, Goose's wife, America's sweetheart.
Yeah.
Up until like 2001.
Yeah, you got mail. That's when it ruined it for me. Although, have you seen When Harry Met Sally?
Yes.
And she did that scene where she was having an orgasm. Yes. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I want some of that. Yeah. Thank God my wife isn't here.
Yeah.
I've always
and thank God she'll never hear this.
True, because she's not going to listen to our podcast.
No, why would
But
she?
my folks might.
Yeah,
so, Mom, I love my wife, but I tell you what, Meg Ryan, sure.
I think that's fair.
It's very fair.
He's like, yeah, I'd love to tell you to run for the hills, stay away from him because he's such a player and a ladies' man. But truth is, I just love him. He's such a great guy. And so then, of course, they're just like making dreamy eyes because Goose is playing the piano. He's got his kid up on the top of the piano, which is super cool. And then Mav goes over and starts playing and singing with him, too.
I was at that bar.
Really?
Yep.
What is it? Where was it?
San Diego. So I went to San Diego for Firehouse World. And I was walking with the guys. We went out after we went to some seminars and we're hit bar hopping. And we came across this place, and it said, we're Top Gun, the sleazy bar scene we're in Top Gun. And I went, what the hell?
I would have thought the sleazy bar scene was the Animal Night.
Me too. Where I would. Me too, and that's where I wanted to go.
Is that what you thought?
No,
Did you
when
walk
I
in,
saw it, I
super
knew.
Disappointed.
Yeah, sort of. And we walked in, and there was the piano. It had a fire. The bar suffered a fire. The only thing that made it through was the piano and the Wurlitzer record player. So I sat right next to that piano and had a beer, not a Budweiser, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a beer in that bar.
Can you sit at the piano, or is that like taped off?
No, yeah, that's taped off.
Because I would want to be.
You'd want to play? I would have sat down and gone, great balls of fire.
Yeah, and just like smash on the keys because I can't play anything other than like chopsticks, I think. But Mav and Charlie then ride down on either the sidewalk or the boardwalk.
They're on the frickin' pier, pretty much. Yep.
Yeah, with the, Ninja 900. Again, establishing Mav is a dick, and he plays by his own rules. So then they find a nice spot to pull over, and they start making out on the bike, and then it's going to get good, because Highway of the Danger Zone starts for the third time. And we're introduced to Hop 31. The trophy's still up for grabs, says our narrator. And so now Mav and Iceman are flying together. So Mav and Goose and Iceman and Slider are flying together as wingmen.
Yep.
And so they're both in pursuit Mav is actually staying on Iceman's wing like he's supposed to. But then Iceman actually cuts Maverick off going in for the kill. And so they're talking about that. And he's like, hey, get out of the way. I got the shot. And Iceman's like, 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Like, well, I got the shot now. Like, 20 seconds. And then finally, Iceman bugs out. And Maverick and Goose get caught in his jet wash. And it puts them into a flat spin.
Flat spin's a terrible thing.
Yeah. And so that basically means the plane is straight and level, but it's spinning 360 degrees in a circle.
Which sucks.
And plummeting towards the ground. Yeah. And so I was like, this is Hollywood bullshit. Like, because, like, come on. And I looked it up, and this is actually a real thing. So the F-14s, when they were first developed, were so aerodynamically perfect that they would commonly go into flat spins, especially if they had a flame out. Because the way a plane works is wind over one of your control surfaces, a flap or an aileron or a rudder, is what makes the plane do something. And these were so aerodynamically perfect that they could get into a spin with no wind over any of the control surfaces. So there was nothing you could do. And so one of the stunt pilots for this movie actually got into a flat spin and crashed and died. Bum, 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 bum. So they realized that they needed to do something, and they added a spin chute to actually add some drag, add some resistance. And so if a F-14 got into a spin, they would deploy the chute, and it would disrupt the airflow just enough that they could recover from it.
I guess as a tribute to the stunt pilot, in this scene, unfortunately, Goose dies. As a tribute.
Goose, pulls the ejection handle, which, there's tiny little, like, almost like squibs, like little explosive devices it's around the canopy.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, and then that pops it off, and then it's supposed to wait a couple seconds, and then it ejects the seats. And he said, "Don't watch out for the canopy." And of course, Goose strikes the canopy.
Goes straight into the canopy.
Yep. And then they both parachute down into the water. Goose's body is all lifeless, and they land in the water, and he's holding on to him and won't let him go. And Coast Guard shows up quick, though. And you know who...
Well, they weren't doing anything else.
And you know who called that Mayday? It was Iceman. He said, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Goose and Mav are in trouble." So he's a good guy.
He's just following protocol. Does this plane you want to bring me up in, does it have a parachute?
Negative.
Well, do I get a parachute?
No.
Why the fuck?
Because you're safer inside the plane than you are outside of the plane.
Not if the plane is going down.
Yes. Yes.
No, not if I have a parachute.
If your plane is designed for you to jump out of it with a parachute, that's one thing. But if you were to try to jump out of like a Cessna or a Piper or anything like that, you're just gonna hit the elevator or the vertical stabilizer at like 100 miles an hour.
All right, I'll bring my helmet.
Yeah, so yes, you would be much safer inside the plane.
Goose is dead, and
Maverick is in the bathroom in his tidy whities.
Yeah, which
reflecting on his fallen comrade, and in walks Viper to give him a pep talk, because this is the time and place
for a pep talk.
Yeah.
Right.
I can tell you, though I don't wear tidy whities, but I can tell you that if I ever needed a pep talk, it would be in the bathroom from my superior when I'm in my tidy whities. I would be super receptive to anything you had to say.
Yeah.
And Viper, I do like him, but his pep talk is like, "Listen, bro, this is the first guy you've lost. You're going to lose a shit ton, so get the fuck over it."
Pretty much. Yeah. Thanks for the summary.
Yeah. He's like, "In Nam, I don't even bother to learn their fucking names because they're just going to die." Mav's like, "Thanks. That felt good. That was good."
Then it's a few more minutes of him gathering Goose's belongings, and
he meets up with
Meg. Mrs. Goose.
Yeah,
Mother Goose.
Yeah, there you go.
And
they're cleaning out his stuff.
I think Tom does a good part here in portraying someone who is so distraught he doesn't know what to say or how to say it. Because he doesn't say a thing. He just, you see the turmoil in his face. I think it was a good piece of acting by Tom.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like, what do you say? You know what I mean?
Right.
But and then, did you see the photo he picked up of him and Goose? Did you see what was in the background?
Plane, wasn't it?
It was, but on the plane it said, "Beware of jet blast, propellers, and rotors."
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, dun, 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 dun.
I didn't see that.
I guess you would call that foreshadowing, except for
That's aftershadowing?
Yeah, the picture was foreshadowing, but we didn't find the picture till after. So then it cuts to the court. Would that be a court martial?
So it was an inquiry. So it's a little bit different.
Spanish
no formal
Inquisition.
no formal charges were brought against him, so it wouldn't be considered a court martial. It was more like an inquiry into the event.
So yeah, they clear Maverick of all responsibility. He had flame out and then went into a flat spin. There was nothing he could have done. And so then Viper leans over to Jester and says,
Get him up.
Yeah, get him up soon. And then it cuts to the most 80s music ever. After losing Goose.
Yeah, and he's a total mess. It's like Cougar reinstated.
Yeah, Cougar 2.0. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
hesitant to engage, and even Jester, who's flying around as
Come
the
on,
enemy,
kid.
he's like, come on.
Come and get me.
Yeah, seriously. He's like, look it, I'm just right here.
And this is where we meet Sundown.
Yeah.
Not meet him, but he's
But
like,
we-
it doesn't get any better than looking at man.
Yeah, he's like talking like jive in the back, because he's black. He's got and then,
Oh, it's so terrible.
It is. And yeah, it was one of those, because I was just like, yeah, what was his call sign going to be?
I know.
Sundown.
And then I saw it and I went,
Sundown. Darkness.
it's darkness.
Like,
I'm like, you racist sons of bitches.
his call sign should have been Token. Or lay him down and yak him, schmack him. Yeah, like if there was an Asian guy, what would you think that would be?
Can't drive. I don't know. What would you have thought?
I don't know. Yeah, something racist though.
Yeah, they would have thought of something witty.
Yeah. The 80s were a better time.
So he won't engage. He gets out and is real, sells him, hey man, and Maverick gets up in his face. So it's, Maverick's going through a tough time.
Yeah.
And in the background, Jester and Viper are talking, and Viper says, just keep sending him up. He's got to get back in the saddle at some point.
Yep. And then it cuts to Maverick's, he's quit. And he goes
It apparently looks so. He's packing all his shit in what? The bathroom again.
Yeah. And and then Iceman comes up to him.
He does and apologizes, yeah.
And he goes, I really like Goose. Everyone did.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And then he just kind of about faces and walks away, which is, again, great, because what would you say in that scenario?
And hiding in the background was Wolfman, and he uses a payphone, and I assume it's to call Charlie to tell her that Maverick has quit. How does Wolfman have Charlie's number? How does he know her number?
Because maybe he failed the last Top Gun. He was the one that banged her the last time, and this is his second go around. Now Maverick is sitting at the USO at the airport, and what appears to be a tall glass of vodka. Yeah.
And Charlie shows up and is starting to get up all in his grill.
It says, I'll have what he's having.
Yeah, just water.
Yeah, ice water. Yeah, that was pretty funny. But yeah, so she tries to get him to stay, and he's like, nope, I'm out of here. And then he found out that she's got a Washington, D.C. job, so he was like, you're leaving too.
She takes off after saying, well, you didn't learn anything, did you, except to quit? She's like, so long, Pete Mitchell. She doesn't even, and no goodbye kiss, nothing.
And then Mav goes over to Viper's house for a little pep
He
talk.
does, and the wife even knows who Maverick is when he comes to the door. So do you think Maverick is banging Viper's wife?
No, I think Maverick's a shithead.
Yeah, of course you do. We've established that.
I know. But so Viper comes home every night. He's like, God, that fucking Maverick, the reports I had to fill out because of that asshole. And because you have that at work, right?
I don't. But people report to you. Are you saying that I'm the asshole?
No. But, I certainly come home from work every night. I'm like, honey, sorry I'm late, but you know who fucked up again.
They talk about his dad because Viper flew with his dad in Vietnam.
Yeah, and he goes, I could lose my job for this, but fuck it.
I'll do it just for you.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, I flew with your dad. I was there the day he died. Like, we got into this engagement, and he got shot, and rather than limp back to base, which he probably could have, he hung around and saved 3 more guys before he finally bought it is what he said. Which I'm like,
why do you buy
I
death?
feel like, well, and that's a term, but I feel like there would have been a more sensitive way to say that rather than Dad kicked the bucket. Mav's like, I knew it. I knew my dad wasn't a screw up. He was the best. Like, I'm in, baby. I'm going to keep flying.
We go to graduation now, and I don't know why they're having it by a pool.
That's the first thing I noticed. I'm like,
maybe they go for a victory swim after.
Right, because at first I was like, what the fuck? This is by a swimming pool? And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's like a reflection pool or like at the Washington Monument. And then like...
yeah, but there's swimming lanes in it.
But as it pans out, nope.
It's a freaking pool.
It's a swimming pool. When you have to pay $10,000 an hour to put one of those jets up in the air, you can't afford the Ramada for the graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
So you got the Hilton Doubletree's fucking pool.
The Hilton Doubletree.
Yeah. Some kid playing in the fucking hot tub.
So, of course, your favorite boy of the movie wins the Top Gun trophy.
Iceman.
Yeah, your guy wins the day, buddy. But I will have you know that you probably know as well that trophy didn't exist in real life. In Top Gun, you either just pass or fail. There's no first place.
Oh, I figured there was no fail.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm sure you could wash out of that program.
I don't know. I mean, they're already pilots.
Well, yeah. What else can they learn?
Yeah. They certainly didn't learn how to use guns. It was a very missile-oriented program again.
And then guess what? Some orders come through.
Yep. So good thing these guys aren't drunk. 8 hours bottled to the throttle.
Into a pool party.
Yeah. 8 hours bottled to the throttle. There's nobody else that can report back to the Indian Ocean.
Iceman, Slider, Hollywood, Wolfman,
Maverick, Goose. Oh.
Too soon, guy. Too soon.
Maverick and...
You're such a dick. So what I think is cool is Viper says, Maverick, you get your reel when you get to the ship. And if not, give me a call. I'll fly with you. I thought that was cool. There is a report of a boat saving mission.
A ship that became disabled and it floated into enemy territory. And the brass in the Navy is very concerned because the enemy has an anti-ship missile, which to me, any missile could be an anti-ship missile if fired at a ship.
Appropriately.
Yeah, they've got this special anti-ship missile. And we're very worried about it. So we got to go intercept and protect that ship until we can get it repaired and back into friendly territory. So who do they send up to go protect this ship?
So in the briefing, they're down in the galleys next to the carrot cutters. They're down...
It's potato peelers?
Both.
Show some respect.
You don't think there's any carrots in beef stew?
Well, do they cross-train or is it...
You think that there's one per vegetable?
There's potato peeler, carrot cutter, loadmaster.
Fuck you. So,
I will say, I bet like carrot cutting is a 12-week program where loadmaster's got to be 8.
I will stab you after this podcast.
So he sends up Wolfman and Hollywood and Iceman and Slider to go protect this ship. Mav gets assigned Merlin.
He does, which is who?
I don't know, actually.
He was Cougar's reel.
Oh, good.
Yep. Good. So he's like, I went from Cougar to Maverick. Yeah. My fucking chances are so much better.
Yeah, he's like, I have all of the psychos.
Iceman, being the cool, smooth dude he is, says to the Admiral, hey, no disrespect, but with regards to Maverick, is he the best? And he's like, fuck you, get up in the air. I know what I'm doing.
You keep talking back. I demote you to Loadmaster. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that to you, carrot cutter.
First 2 aircraft launch, and they get up in the air, and they encounter how many MiGs?
So it's
first they think it's
radar signal is showing 2 bandits.
Right, but then when they get about within 200 knots, it's what?
Now we got 5 radar contacts.
Oh my Jesus!
Oh whoops!
Whoops!
Now it's 6.
So 6-2.
Yeah, 2 versus 6. Wolfman and Hollywood get shot down.
They do
ASAP
with a missile.
Yeah, should have paid attention. Should have gone for the guns.
So much for dogfighting.
Yeah, exactly. You guys learned so much. Yeah, and we didn't see a single countermeasure in this movie.
As far as
none
whatsoever.
Flares or is it pronounced chaff or chafe? Chafe.
Yep.
We didn't see any countermeasures. It was just like, you got me.
Although maybe Maverick did have some chafe. I think in one of the bathroom scenes. So yeah,
definitely after the volleyball with the jeans, that was definite chafage.
But they do get to parachute out, so they're alive.
Yeah, so nobody get to hit the canopy.
No goose here.
No cleaned out lockers here.
Oh my god. Too soon. Then you hear the Admiral launch Maverick on Alert 5 and send out the rescue for Hollywood and Wolfman.
What's been hit? What's been hit? Shit! What's been hit? Voodoo 1, what's been hit? What's been hit? We've lost Hollywood. Repeat, we've lost Hollywood. We've lost our wingman.
Launch Maverick on Alert 5.
Get a bearing on Hollywood and Wolfman and launch the rescue helicopter immediately.
Poor Iceman, 6-on-1.
Right, but he's handling like a champ. He's like, Maverick, get the fuck out here.
Yeah, I'm completely defensive.
So
And
Maverick's, he's like, I'm supersonic.
Yeah,
I'll be there in 30 seconds.
Yeah, which they're hundreds of miles away, and I know these aircraft go like supersonic.
Right. What's supersonic? Wait.
Fuck if I know.
Come on.
I never
give me
did
a guess.
it. I don't know. I
know you can't do supersonic in your aircraft.
I don't know. I think a typical jet aircraft, like, passenger aircraft flies like 400 something knots.
Roughly.
So I would say a jet would be 6 or 7. So I would say over that, 8,
Yeah,
9.
yeah.
Is that supersonic?
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, so Mav's like, I'll be there in 30 seconds. He's like, not soon enough. And it's like, dude, I'm fucking like a continent away. Like, give me a minute.
Yeah.
30 seconds ain't
See?
fucking quick enough.
See, there you go. Iceman's a dick.
He was scared like Kuga. But he wasn't sweating like Kuga.
No. See,
Nope.
Maverick was. Oh no.
No,
Iceman is all
Yeah.
cool.
So Maverick finally gets there, and of course,
The catapults are both down.
Yeah, both catapults are down.
Both. Maverick goes to engage, and then he backs off and takes off. And to which Iceman kind of, shit, I knew it.
And then even the Admiral is like, damn it, I knew it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
well, if you
okay.
knew it. Kind of a little interlude to Maverick all by himself, and he's got Goose's tags in his hand. He's like, talk to me, Goose, again.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Which is like total Star Wars. Like, use the Force. Like, turn off your targeting computer. Listen, like, use a gun. No, I'm going to use missiles.
I'm going to use Goose.
Yeah. But, so Mav flew through the jet wash. And
Yeah,
that's
he
why-
did.
and
That's why he backed off.
He was able to recover. Turns out he wasn't running away. He was just getting a different position. He shoots down a MiG.
Yeah.
And then Iceman gets
shoots
one.
down another one, and then I think together they shoot down 4 of the 6.
Yeah,
right?
and the other one's
And
bug
the
out.
ratings bug out.
And they kept showing the same scene of machine gun fire hitting their
Yes.
planes. It was the same clip over
Yep,
and over
yep.
and over. And yeah, we talked about how expensive it was, like $10,000
An hour
to fly these things. And then the military would only authorize 2
Missile fires.
Yeah, and so they had to film it like a couple different angles and reuse the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Which I get it. It's still cool.
They've shot down their MiGs, so they're headed back, and Iceman decides he wants to accompany Maverick on a flyby of the tower. And of course, he's, Ghost Rider, this is Maverick requesting Tower or whatever, this is Ghost Rider requesting a flyby.
Negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
And it's the same airboss. There's no way this airboss was moved over to to USS Enterprise. So.
But yeah, and so Mav's like, perfect. Like, that's the response I was hoping for. And then Merlin's like, is there something I should know about?
Yeah. Yeah, so they both bust the tower. They get down on deck, and there's all this camaraderie.
And like, one of the things they brought up in the beginning of the movie was they're like, wow, you guys are the only ones that have ever seen a MiG-28 in person. And now we live in like a constant state of the war on terror. So if you're in the military, like active duty, you could potentially see combat like in any role. But in the 80s, like,
yeah, it was just a Cold War. It was just a constant. Yeah, it's there, but
right. Other than like cloak and dagger shit or some spec ops stuff, like if you were in the Air Force, Navy, Army, you weren't seeing combat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like if these guys actually got in combat, it's like, oh my god, you know what I mean? This is like what we trained for. Iceman's like, you.
You are still dangerous. You can be my wingman anytime.
Bullshit. You can be mine.
And then Mav goes over the edge of the boat and Titanic style.
He throws the Hope Diamond.
Yeah, he throws Goose.
He lets Goose go.
He throws Goose's dog tags off the ship. So then he's given his choice of assignment because apparently if you shoot down a couple MiGs, it's
You
like,
can go and do whatever you want.
yeah, he's like, you can have any assignment you want. You know what I mean? It's again like all this training
bullshit.
and whatnot, and it's like you do what
Bullshit.
we trained you to do for half a second. It's like, well, done with that. It's like I want to train the best. I want to be a Top Gun instructor. I'm like, all right, off you go.
Yep. And it cuts to a Top Gun hat on the bar of the San Diego bar, where he and Goose lit up the stage with great balls of fire.
Yep. And then he's sitting there, he's having a drink, and the jukebox start playing You Lost That Love and Feeling. And he turns around and he looks, and
he goes to check it out.
yeah, and no one's around. He's like, that's a strange song to put on the jukebox. And then eventually Charlie shows up, and it's just like, ugh. Just,
What do you mean, ugh?
No, not her. Just like the entire...
The scene?
Stupid. I don't know. Don't like it.
I think it left a little bit to be desired, but it still
It
still was a good callback to kind of close it out, I think. So that was the end of the movie. Roll the credits there, and that would bring us to our superlatives.
What is your best moment?
My favorite one is Maverick keeping up foreign relations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A good way to start the movie.
Yeah.
Mine would be the first scene at the bar, like the entire scene, just all of the dialogue. You know, like Mav and Goose going back and forth, the introduction of Iceman, and then, you know, the singing and whatnot. Like, it's just such an iconic scene start to finish, like from the time they get there till the time they leave.
Okay. What about best outfit?
Volleyball.
Shut up.
They're just hilarious. All of the different...
So, okay.
No, I mean, this movie does actually have a lot of cool outfits. The volleyball ones are ridiculous, and the dress uniforms actually look like really snazzy. Usually you think of like the Marines dress uniforms, but it was like the all white. Like you think of like all white pants, and you're like, ugh, but they actually look pretty good. And then the flight suits are obviously super cool.
Yeah.
What about you?
I, growing up, wanted a bomber jacket so bad. So I think my favorite outfit is when Goose and Maverick are kind of in their dress down in their civvies, and they just have their bomber jacket and white t-shirts on.
Best babe.
Man, slim pickings in this film.
For sure.
You
I
know?
mean, again, it's a Navy base, but
Yeah. The most skin was obviously Kelly McGillis. And I was attracted to her young. I didn't really find her too attractive in this go around.
yeah.
I've always had a thing for Meg,
Yeah, Meg Ryan's very pretty.
you know, but I alluded to her earlier in the film when they walked into the officers club and that woman in the red dress with the flowers on it, like had her leg up.
Yeah.
For her, that's the best babe for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it would be like one of the women at the bar, like one of the random background characters.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, this movie is unfortunately slim pickings, but it would not be Kelly McGillis. No disrespect to her. It just does not do it for me then or today. All right, who would you be in the Top Gun universe?
Yeah. I'd be Goose because basically I have good retorts. I'm kind of funny, and I'm a family man.
And if anybody were to hit the canopy, it would be you.
Who would you be? I know, Iceman, right?
No, I wouldn't. It
No.
wouldn't be Iceman for me. It definitely wouldn't be Mav or Goose. It would be like one of the ancillary characters, like maybe Hollywood or Wolfman.
Because you want to tag Charlie.
No. But because, like, I am not one of those super aggressive, like, I gotta find somebody to fight with people. I'm
Horseshit, you pigeon chest everybody.
No, just you. Just
Trust
you.
me. No, you've pigeon chested your wife.
No, but I'm the kind of guy that just comes in and does my thing. I don't need to find the other alpha to have a dick measuring competition with. So I fly under the radar, no pun intended.
All right. I can see that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be any of the like standout characters. Maybe Jester. I could be
Okay,
I
yeah.
could be a Jester.
Yeah, because he's kind of in the background, but a formidable person.
Yeah,
Okay.
that could be me.
How about, would you recommend this movie?
Hell yeah.
All right, hell yeah, why?
Because other than my wife, I don't know anybody who doesn't love this movie. Like, it's definitely not Oscar bait. who doesn't like watching this movie, and who doesn't want to be a fighter pilot after watching this, other than my wife?
Did she say why?
I feel like she can't articulate it well. Kind of like my favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And she'd be like, because it's about stupid fucking dinosaurs. And I'm like, but it's not, though. It's like a survival horror, like suspenseful. It's all about like scientific principle. Should you do something just because you can do it? She's like, it's about stupid dinosaurs. I'm like, all right, well, we'll agree to disagree, I guess. So for this one, I'm sure she'd be like, there's a bunch of fucking planes flying in circles and shit.
Okay.
What about your tasty burger?
I don't really think that she would be too interested in this flick. She'd probably like the volleyball scene and the love scene.
Well, who doesn't love the volleyball scene?
Straight guys.
Speak for yourself.
It's just not her thing. So, rating on the burger scale, 0 to 5. What would you rate this movie?
This would be 4 out of 5 juicy burgers.
4 burgers. Okay.
4 burgers out of 5. You would never call this great cinema, but this is just fucking fun, which is what movies are supposed to be.
Agreed. Yeah. I am close. I'd give it a 3.5. And of course, on A Worm's Eye View, when we give it a half measure, we have to tell you whether it's the top half of the burger or the bottom half of the burger. I give it a 3.5 bottom half of the burger, so that includes the meat and the bun.
And which half of the burger is your wife?
She's the whole package.
All right, what do you think the Rotten Tomato score is?
I feel like it's lower than I thought it would have been based on some of the research that I read. I'm thinking it's somewhere in the low 70s because I don't think this had really good reviews coming out of the gate. I think it was the mass populace that really made this movie. So critics probably the 72 would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because like the Rotten Tomato score is based on professional critics. So I'm guessing I go with like 64% for like the professional critics, but I bet then if you looked at like the audience factor next to it, it's probably going to be like 90 something.
Yeah.
Because like again, who doesn't like Top Gun? But
our wives.
It's true. It's not very great cinema for traditional cinema, but it's just so much fun to watch. And then it's great 80s nostalgia. Top Gun, 1986, rotten, 55%.
55.
Yeah. But like we did predict, though, the audience score, 83%.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just those fucking critics who... Anything else you want to say about this movie?
Go watch it. And then... We haven't reviewed this movie yet, but as soon as you're done watching this, if you haven't seen it, go watch Days of Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Right
I
after.
thought you were going to go Iron Eagle.
No, not
which
yet.
I haven't seen
You're not
yet.
ready for that.
No, I got to watch it.
They're not ready for it. What we'll do here is we're going to spin the wheel. We're going to be doing a 90s movie. So now we are spinning the wheel to determine the genre of the movie. And let's spin it. We will be doing a thriller/drama.
Ooh.
We will be doing the movie Seven.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.